Well, aloha and good morning, everybody. We just want to go ahead and get started as people are logging in. Good morning, and I hope everyone had a nice Thanksgiving Day holiday. Welcome to the Chamber's November Focus on Seminar, Cloud Computing, Improving Your Products, Services, and Internal Communications, presented by Microsoft, Dean Solutions, Hawaii Tech Support, and Talent HR Solutions, whose partnership of the program provides vital skills to Hawaii's small business community. Focus on seminars are complimentary for all of our Chamber, YP, and HFMA members, and is one of the many benefits of joining the Chamber. If you know of any fellow businesses that could benefit from programs like this, we encourage you to refer them to us to become members. I'm Tricia Fatui, Associate Vice President of Events and Engagement at the Chamber of Commerce, and it's a pleasure to welcome all of you this morning to our November Focus On seminar and to welcome all of our amazing panel of guest speakers. Before we get the program started and I turn things over to our panel, I wanted to go over a few housekeeping items. For all of our attendees, today's event has been set up in webinar mode, so all of the questions can be submitted through the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen. So feel free, we're taking questions throughout all of the presentation, so feel free, just submit them at any time. The plan for the morning is for each speaker to give a quick introduction on their subject matter expertise. Then we'll move into more of a Q&A discussion and close with final thoughts and closing remarks. So, COVID-19 has forever changed the way we communicate within our businesses and throughout our workdays. Technology has paved the way for better collaboration, more effective processes, greater efficiencies, and streamlined business practices. We're so thankful to have our panel of experts here with us early on our Thanksgiving hangover with us today to provide insight and share some of the ways that cloud computing and technology enable better communication regardless of the size of your business. Joining us today are Deena Tearney from Pacific Point, Loren Aquino, High Tech Hui. Feel free to give a little shaka or Hawaii speakers so they know who you are. Christine Lanning, Integrated Security Technologies, Adrian DiTucci from Microsoft. We also have Nicole Rodella from Microsoft and Stanley Lau from Hawaii Tech Support. Lastly, before I turn the program over to our awesome panel, I want to share with you that we will have our last Focus On December 16th, so please keep an eye out for registration information. In addition, Chamber Week 2021 will be the week of January 18th, and it will be virtual, of course. More information will be available soon regarding both events. Okay, now let's get started with the program. At this time, it is my pleasure to turn the virtual microphone over to Deena as she starts off with a conversation and tells us a little bit more about service agents, how service agents are able to work anywhere by being fully hosted in the cloud, how the power of Salesforce platform brings increased automation, can't say it, I've been out of work too long, efficiency, and transparency to customer satisfaction and more. Deena?
Thank you, Tricia. Like was said, my name is Deena Tearney. I'm the founder and CEO of Pacific Point. We are a Salesforce consulting partner, which essentially means that we help businesses and organizations, including public sector organizations, get up and running on the Salesforce platform and continue to increase their automation, increase efficiency, as was said a few minutes ago, among other things. I've heard the phrase that customer experience is the new battleground, and I'm pretty sure I heard that at a Salesforce event of some sort. But what the meaning behind that is that the experience that you as a business deliver to your customers is what will mean new customers for you, as well as loyal customers for you. And that customer experience that you offer is what makes a significant difference in your business. And on our road to recovery, all of our road to recovery in the middle of this pandemic and looking ahead, customer experience continues to be incredibly important. And as was said in the introduction, I mean, the pandemic has certainly accelerated customers' demand for experiences that meet people where they are, right? Their expectations about how they can engage with you as an organization has certainly changed or accelerated nonetheless. So think about this. What is the customer experience like at your business? How would a customer of yours describe what it was like to purchase a product or service that you offer? How was that buying process for them? How did it start and how does it end? And how do they get onboarded? Secondly, think about how a customer might describe how they learn about new offerings that you have or additional offerings that maybe you've had for a while, but how do they find out about them? And then thirdly, how might they gain support from you? How might they, if they have any sort of issue, learn about it? Do they have to email? Do they have to call somebody? What's the callback? What is that experience like for your customer? So really think about that and think about how you might be able to remove friction in that experience and being able to get better about meeting customers where they are in a way that they want to engage with you and how they want to buy your product that's easier for them, and also how they might gain support from you and how you can make that experience more seamless. And that is really where technology like Salesforce comes into the picture. Small businesses, any size organization that we've worked with can get up and running quickly. That's one of the wonderful things about cloud, right? You can start small and you can build upon it on the Salesforce platform, but that's really the benefit of the cloud, right? You don't have to worry about hosting this big server somewhere. You don't have to worry about installing the software. Salesforce is taking care of all of that for you. They've built an amazing set of tools and technology that allow you to configure the customer experience that you want to offer for your business. So, when you go subscription-based, it's an annual subscription, you get into the subscription, they take care of all of that for you. What you then have to worry about is, what is the customer experience that I would like to create for my customers? And you can start configuring on the Salesforce platform. And Salesforce isn't just for sales automation. It really is about empowering your business to better know your customer. I'm sure everyone's heard the term 360-degree view of the customer, right? It's that full view of how your customer interacts with you and building on that relationship. So imagine what power businesses and organizations would have if you or they better understood their customers. They can leverage that technology to create a unique experience by saying, okay, well, I know that Deena has a history of buying these types of things, or I know she had called in with these types of issues in the past. How can I reach out to her? How can I create an experience that builds a relationship with Deena? Because I know what she's buying. I know what her issues are. I know what she might or may not be interested in. I know what emails she clicked on, right? All of those different things, while small, some of them can be small, they can start to grow into bigger things that allow you to create some really unique experiences and gain new business. So I'll give you an example too, that's a little bit less on the sales side, but something that certainly happened a lot of, particularly at the beginning of the pandemic and even all the way through now. I'm seeing a lot of businesses and organizations leverage Salesforce to improve their customer service using a variety of omni-channel experiences, right? So maybe thinking about online self-service. So basically what that is your website, and providing customers the ability to self-serve. You can also add bot automation, which is a little, there's no human behind that, but it's a bot way of interacting with your business. You can also offer live chat all through the Salesforce platform as well, where there is a human interacting with your customers on the other end of that, as well as call center capabilities. There are a lot of cloud-based call center capabilities, and by plugging that can plug straight into Salesforce too. So all of these products can be hosted in the cloud, and your service people, your agents can work anywhere, which is what we're all doing now. And then you have that power of the platform itself from Salesforce that gets you that increased automation, all that efficiency, the transparency into what your customers are doing, what their satisfaction rates might be, as well as how your teams are performing. So I think that, all of those things really come down to how you as an organization can look at making a significant difference in your business through cloud technology, but elevating your customer experience. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Deena. That was very interesting. Now it's my pleasure to pass the virtual microphone over to Loren Aquino as he shares 5 things you should do now to safeguard your Office 365 data. Loren?
Okay, thank you. Let me just set up the screen here. Okay. So Microsoft Office 365, if you have it, you notice that everything works really, really well out of the box. And one of the reasons why they do this, or how they do that, is they turn off a lot of the security features that are actually built into the product, but they disable that to make it a little more user-friendly. So I'm going to go over 5 things that you should do right now to safeguard your data on Office 365 and make sure everything's working as securely as you can make them without actually sacrificing the user experience. So the way I have this set up is I'm going to tell you why and how you should, or why you should do these things. And I'm going to provide links for you to explore later on to figure out how to do it. But we'll go ahead and, so the first thing you should do, number 1, is update your password. Now, out of the box, Windows or Office 365 doesn't give you a whole lot of password complexity, but it should really be complex. And this is something that can actually be changed by the user. So you, as a user of Office 365, you can do this. And one of the reasons you want to do this is because I'll bring up this next chart here. This is a little chart on if a hacker were to try to hack your password with some of the automated tools that are in existence right now, the old standard of having 8 characters or longer, if you look at the 8 character over here, it'll say, basically if you use numbers only or lowercase letters, they can pretty much hack it in, less than 2 months using automated tools with today's technology. So we always recommend way more than 8 characters. I use 42 characters, which might be overkill for some people, but I use a password manager. So you can see, we're looking at 1 quintillion years for something like that. But, again, this chart is using today's technology. If you're looking at 2 years from now, what technology is going to be like, it's going to be able to hack it a lot faster than what this chart shows. So that's going on there. Next thing you want to do is you want to enable multi-factor authentication, because if your password does happen to get hacked, this is the next layer of defense, right? Having a 6-digit code on your phone, or have your phone hit the approve button in order for you to log in. So this is in case your username and password get compromised. Now there's stuff that your administrator needs to do, your Office 365 administrator, and then there's stuff that the user needs to do. So I gave links here how to do that. And then number 3, what you want to do, and this is, a lot of people don't know you can do this, but you want to restrict your Office 365 logons to the US if your company doesn't have employees in other countries. Like some people might outsource to the Philippines, so maybe you want to allow the Philippines as well. But if you only have employees and contractors in the US, you want to go ahead and restrict logons to Office 365 to the US. And this is something that your Office 365 administrator can do. And then number 4 is you want to back up your data. So a lot of people don't know that Office 365 doesn't actually back up your data. What they provide is high availability, which is different from backing up your data. Let's say someone screws up the data in their mailbox or in OneDrive, that's going to propagate to the rest of the redundant copies that Microsoft provides. So you're going to want to have this backed up. And this is an administrator function. So you want to get with your Office 365 administrator and make sure that this is happening. And finally, number 5, you want to improve your secure score. And this is something the administrator has to do. I provided a link down there for you to give to your Office 365 administrator. They just need to click that link and log on, and it'll actually give them a step-by-step process on how to improve your secure score. So most organizations have less than 10%, which is really failing. What you want to do is have it above 50%. So your administrator can help you with this. This is not so much a user thing, but it would help to make your Office 365 data a lot more secure. So that's it. If you have all 5 of these already taken care of, there are, security is a process. So there is the next 5. And if you or your network or your Office 365 administrator is interested in the next 5 steps that you need to do to secure your Office 365 environment, you can go ahead and contact me. There's my email address over there. I know a lot of this was focused on Office 365, but there are 3 things like the password, the multi-factor authentication, and getting backups. Those can apply to any cloud environment. So that would apply to, let's say, Google or Dropbox, or they all have those controls, and those are things you'll want to do for those cloud providers as well as Office 365. And that would be it. Hope I made my 5 minutes.
Thank you, Loren. What about password manager? Do you have any like apps or suggested websites or anything like that for password managers?
Yeah, there are a few password managers. We at High Tech, we use LastPass. So it works out well for us. Yeah, because of password complexity, it's just, you need long sets of characters for your passwords, and you shouldn't have the same password for 2 websites, right? You should only have 1 password per website, and it shouldn't be reused. So how are you supposed to manage all that, right? And the only real way is a password manager, because everything else is a bad idea. Like, you don't want to write it on a Post-it, or you don't want to put it on a electronic notepad file, because those are way easily, like, you can hack those really easy. Password managers are usually encrypted. So the one password that you have to access your password manager, that's the encryption key. So you can only get you to your passwords using those. Yeah, without going into the really propeller head stuff, that's the explanation.
Wonderful. If you could share that and maybe in the chat, so that, I don't know if you said FastPass, that would be helpful. Thanks again, Loren. That was really great. And now it's my pleasure to turn it over to Christine as she shares more on the advancement of cloud security solutions, including video surveillance, access control, intrusion, and visitor management. Christine?
Yay, awesome. Can you see my screen? Excellent. Okay, so aloha everyone. My name is Christine Lanning, and at the end of the day, I'm in the life safety business. So our company, Integrated Security Technologies, is Hawaii's leader in integrated electronic security systems. So I always like to use the example, video surveillance, access control, alarm systems, intercom systems, and we service some of Hawaii's largest government and commercial businesses. Scroll next. We've been around for about 100 years. We have about 100 years combined experience. And so you think of from a heavily restricted missile defense system in Kwajalein to the protection of Hawaii's Honolulu Police Department, our systems are dedicated to providing life-critical safety. So today I'm just going to talk briefly about cloud-based security systems. And for reference, my definition of cloud-based systems is just other people's computers. So there's very little distinction anymore with cloud versus on-prem in the electronic security world, other than the location of where it's at. So regardless of what you choose, it's important to remember that when it comes to electronic security systems, there's still hardware that needs to be installed. And so this could be anything from access control readers, restricting access to an accounting office, to a video camera surveilling a warehouse, to intercom for communication at a remote door, to thermal imaging detectors for employee temperature screening, or even an alarm system for after-hours business protection. So each of these devices can connect to a cloud-based or on-prem system or both. But again, you still have to have hardware installed. So what makes it somewhat confusing is that, again, it doesn't really matter where it's stored. You still have to have that hardware installed. So that being said, let's move to what types of cloud services are available. Oops, sorry about that. So the type of cloud services can be grouped into 3 categories. They can be grouped into security systems as a service or cloud. So security systems as a service could be video systems as a service or access control systems as a service. And even though they're different names, for all intents and purposes, they're the same. They're virtually the same as cloud-based systems in that the hardware gets installed, but the head-end system is different. So depending on whether it's in the cloud or depending on whether or not someone else is actually managing it. So the benefits of these type of cloud systems in an electronic security space is that you don't have to have a server or on the premise itself. So you don't really have electricity costs. You don't have to buy hardware. Operation and maintenance is easier in that the server maintenance is generally provided by others. And you don't have to worry about system upgrades or patching. And then there's the whole, for those of you that know the OpEx versus CapEx discussion. For those of you that don't know, it's just the difference in a heavy outlay of capital versus paying a monthly fee, where the cost can be spread over months, if not years. And for certain businesses, it can make it more affordable. It's like getting an enterprise system for small business prices. And then if you have a cloud-based system, you can access it from virtually anywhere. So imagine being able to allow entry of your office to your assistant who needs to print something over the weekend. And then imagine getting an alarm when your assistant goes into the office, but you can actually, from your phone, view your camera system to verify it is your assistant. And then you can actually turn off the alarm system from your phone and then arm it once they're gone. That's the value of cloud-based electronic security systems. So the exciting technology, one of the things I like to talk about most is cloud-based video analytics. So this is essentially allows you to use your hardware-based cameras. So if you think of video surveillance cameras that get installed, a lot of home users use the Ring system. It's kind of the same concept. And you basically take those hardware-based cameras and you connect them to a cloud-based system that can then analyze the data that's coming from the camera to give you business intelligence. So video surveillance footage is considered a major source of big data. So as each camera gathers a plethora of information, it can all store it in the cloud and then analyze it. So it can be mined for business or security intelligence. We've had video analytics in the security world for quite some time, but it's actually never been so accessible as it is now with cloud-based analytics. So it can also be coupled with artificial intelligence to interpret that data. And this is super interesting. And if you just bear with me, I'll give you some details. So before the cloud-based systems, you would have to purchase a very powerful server that would cost you a lot of money. So now, again, with cloud-based, you don't have to purchase that server. And so essentially all those cameras can report to a cloud-based system, and then analytics can run on that data. In addition, you can connect one or multiple cameras instead of all. You can also turn off the analytic or turn it on depending on your business needs. So cool examples of this can be like object detection. So if you want a camera to determine whether or not somebody left a package in a particular location, you could use it for that. You could use it for classification, meaning that kind of the old school way of doing video analytics was to do motion detection. So alert me if there's any motion in this particular area. And that's great until you actually have it. And then you get all these false alarms. And for those of you, again, with the Ring systems, you'll know what I'm talking about, where you're constantly alerted as the light changes or the wind blows too hard or a leaf blows across the video screen. So what's more important is in terms of analytics is being able to determine, I don't really care if it's the wind. What I care about is that a person or a dog or the wind. And I only want to know if it's a person. And analytics can give me even more detail. Only alert me if it's a person wearing a red shirt heading east. Okay. So there's a lot more that you can do with these cloud-based analytics that you couldn't do before with your own system. You can also do people counting. So I use the examples to think of a bank with people waiting in line. And, maybe the head of banking wants to be notified if there's more than 5 people in line so they can bring out another teller. So you can use this for business intelligence. There are actually cameras today that analyze facial features of humans to determine where their gaze goes, indicating that they're either paying attention to a particular display at a retail store or not. And that can be super interesting if that's the kind of business intelligence that you need. So I want to make it clear, though, really important, the technology in terms of analytics is ripe with error, bias, and privacy concerns. So tread lightly and make sure you do your research before you deploy these technologies. They're definitely not foolproof, and they're definitely not perfect. I'm going to skip that. So just to kind of recap, I just wanted to kind of point out, I didn't know if anybody else had a slide to talk about this. Again, just the pros of a cloud-based electronic security system. Again, you have little to no server maintenance, no electricity costs at your facility. You don't have to worry about upgrading or patching of servers. It's a lower cost. You only pay for what you use. You can expense this versus capitalizing the costs. And again, enterprise class capabilities for small business prices. And then you have the flexibility, the ability to access it from anywhere. So in this remote work time, again, being able to access your security system when no one is at your office because everyone's working remotely can be very helpful. But again, just remember, it can come with big risks. So data breach or data leak, what happens if your data is stolen? Do you care if someone knows who's in your building or what time your employees start work? I was recently at a conference where I heard someone from a cloud-based video and access control system company talk about how he was aggregating all the data that was coming in from all of his accounts and being able to provide on average like what employee working times were. Now, if you care about that privacy, that may be something you might want to consider when evaluating your systems. Data loss, what happens if your service provider goes down or the server on their end gets corrupted and it means you can't access your data? That may be important in terms of if I need to add another user to my account and I can't because the system's down. And then there's denial of service attacks, which can result in no access whatsoever. Again, if I have access to my alarm system and all of a sudden there's a denial of service attack and I can't access my alarm system, these are very different because they're critical life safety versus a computer. You know, a computer's down, it's like, oh no, my business operations, you know, I can't access my file. But if your alarm system's down, that might be a little bit more important. So you got to take that into consideration. So again, company integrated security technologies, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you so much, Christine. At this time, it's my pleasure to turn the conversation over to Adrian, who will help us to identify the things businesses overlook in their basic cloud and what solutions Microsoft 365 has to offer. Adrian?
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us very early on a Cyber Monday. But let's take a look at your business and talk some frank conversational points that sometimes are overlooked. High Tech Solutions here has provided Loren's provided some of the ideas on how to protect your business, and Microsoft strongly recommends Microsoft partners such as Stan and Loren's organizations that work with us day to day to kind of take on the things that you're not able to. But Microsoft 365 does empower you as a business owner, no matter the size of business you are. So if you're a small business, sole proprietor, maybe 1 to 3 people, or all the way up to a larger enterprise style customer, you have the ability to either manage it yourself through your own portals and the administrator login pages, the portal pages, or you can delegate these services to another individual. Now, if by chance that individual is not available, you as the owner or proprietor have the ability to go in. If you still maintain an what they call it, an active presence in your business, you can go in and handle things. So if you have an employee that maybe lost a device and you're worried about a data breach, a potential data breach, you can easily go in and administer the restrictions, lock down the data, and in some cases even remote wipe a device depending on the features that you have from Microsoft. But you as the individual could do that instead of waiting for your administrator to take care of that. Or as an individual, you can control that from a small proprietor, small business per person type of environment. That's one of the things that people kind of overlook is that, well, I'll go with free. This is free. This is free here. Free is free. However, what enhancements and features do you get with it? Does it give you the ability to take care of your customers and have the right experience for your customers? Some of the things that we always look to make sure that people are enjoying and utilizing is within the Microsoft environment, a lot of things that you buy come with enhanced features and services, a lot of apps, a lot of capabilities that people only scratch the surface on because they don't understand it. Well, just having an introduction into that particular program, like Microsoft Teams, for the businesses today, when we're facing another possible lockdown. We hear all kind of rumors of stay-at-home orders from all over the place. You look at LA, for example, over the weekend, they're about to implement another stay-at-home order. They let it go for the Black Friday weekend, but they're about to face one. How can you communicate with your customers, show product, and still transact your business in a stay-at-home environment? And a lot of these are like the things that we're on right now. Are you are having the ability to have a virtual conversation with a customer, pick up and hold product, let them know that, hey, this is something that I think your business will benefit from. Having the ability to continue merchandising and showing your product, whether it be a one-on-one approach through a normal team session or through a Microsoft Live event where you could have a traveling roadshow and showcasing your product, having customers interact with you, but not necessarily knowing each other, knowing your customers, knowing which customer is on. You could make it a kind of like a new product show type of an event where they can see it, they can chat with you, they can ask you questions, but not necessarily revealing themselves to the other person in an environment like this. So Teams Live allows you to host up to 10,000 participants at a time. So you could mass market in an approach like that. My point is that explore all your capabilities within a product set you buy, whether it be ours or somebody else's. Know what you have, know what you're able to do with it, and take advantage of it. Learn. If you're not able to learn, find out how you can learn, either through self-education, through the web, or the person that you got the product from, and find out if there's training available. There are a lot of ways to make yourself very successful. One of the other things that is very common that I see is your bandwidth. A lot of people think that I have sufficient bandwidth to do what I'm doing. Well, that's great if you're doing in a normal work environment within your own members. But if you're starting to reach out to customers and hosting large events, you have to have scalable bandwidth. Otherwise, you're going to have the interruption of service. You're going to have choppiness, and then the user experience is not very good. Uh, a lot of people thought that they had good bandwidth when they went into COVID-19 by working from home. But if you have anywhere from one child to three, yourself and your spouse working from home, guess what? That bandwidth is pretty much gone. So you have to kind of take those pain points into account as you move towards a remote work environment. And realistically, we will have this going forward. This will not be something that you will turn off and go back to everyone just pouring into stores. And you've discovered a whole new market, that next generation of customers that want to buy virtually from you. How can you have those sessions? Or even people that are not in your market. Now you have the ability to market outside of Hawaii. So take what you're learning now, expand on it, ask, consult. This board right here, this group of speakers has a wealth of knowledge that everybody could take advantage of. Take what you need, understand it, expand on it, then learn and expand again and expand again. Don't stop. The last time that people stopped was when we were coming out of the first lockdown. Everybody thought things were going to return. And guess what? We went into a second lockdown and people had stopped their rollout and didn't complete what they needed to. And then now they're 6 to 8 weeks, if not more, behind. And you're struggling again to keep up with somebody else that continued the projects one step at a time. We do have a lot to talk about today, so there's a lot of sessional information. So I'll turn it back to the moderator. Thank you for your time, and definitely there'll be more today. And if not, you can always reach me and Nicole after session as well.
Thank you, Adrian. Yeah, one of the themes for the chamber this year is keep pushing forward together. And so, like Adrian has said, we got to keep pushing forward regardless of what the state mandates are, and doing it together, doing it with these awesome, talented, smart partners that we have featured today. And Adrian, I love the idea of the virtual trade show, like a trunk show. That's such a great idea. So thank you for sharing that with us today. Okay, so next we're going to turn over to Stan Lau to discuss Microsoft Teams and how organizations can use Teams to communicate internally and externally with client and partners. Stan?
Hi, thanks, Tricia. Hi, good morning. My name's Stan Lau. I'm with Hawaii Tech Support, and we are a Microsoft partner. We work with Adrian and the local team to help businesses implement Microsoft solutions. And so Adrian talked a little bit about Teams. And for those of you who don't know much about Teams, Teams is a great tool. It's really a collective, what we call unified communications. And so between chats, phone calling, sharing files, it's a platform that enables all of this. It is an included part of your Office 365 subscription. And so Adrian mentioned free. The plans are, it's an included tool that comes with your 365 subscription, and subscriptions start for as little as $5 per user per month. But what are some of the benefits of Microsoft Teams? So we help companies utilize it. And so when the pandemic started, one of the great things that Teams enabled companies to do was communicate and collaborate. And so what does this look like? Imagine you have a team that's working from home. They're forced to, or they choose to. And this is a great benefit where in terms of productivity, talking to coworkers, sharing files, collaborating on documents, it's all possible through Microsoft Teams. And so it's a program that starts, you have one of the key features is chat and communication. So everyone can be a part of a channel, or you can direct chat. And so this is like instant messaging. And so for those who are familiar with traditional instant messaging, it's a great way to get information quickly. There's a record of all your texts and chats through that. And so in addition to that, you can do group communication. And so we use this often where we have, say, our tech team. If there's something that comes up, there's a question that someone has, they post it, and it shows up for the entire group to respond to. And so without having to bother people or mail blast, you can choose to subscribe. You can tag people so that they get alerted through it. But this is a great central communication channel for all of your team. Another thing that can be enabled is the voice feature. So you can actually make Teams your phone system. And where we've seen the biggest benefit in this is with work from home, a lot of people are stuck with handsets that are on their desk at their office. But with Teams and the phone option, the voice option enabled, you can actually take that home wherever you are. It can also be installed on your cell phone so that if you're out, you can receive calls at your main office number. You can make calls and people see that you're calling from your office line, even though you're at a coffee shop or work from home. The ability to be reachable anywhere through this phone system is a game changer. And so we've seen a lot of conversions because it's hard for other phone systems to have this function where you can be at home and receive phone calls as if you were in the office. Another really helpful feature is the ability to share files. And so you can upload files and work on them, collaborate on them wherever you are. And so we do this. We have a distributed team that works. A few people work in the office, but most all of our staff work from home. And so when we work through Teams, we can collaborate on documents. We can start a Word document and we can be editing the file together, working on it. We can create spreadsheets. We can upload PDF documents, and all of this is accessible without your traditional VPN. And the feedback that we've heard from a lot of customers that have implemented this is it's really COVID has shifted and forced us to change the way we do business and collaborate. And, for those who come into the office, for those who don't, but using technologies like this has really normalized that. And so for the clients that we've worked with to transition prior to COVID, talking to some of the owners and CEOs, their comments are having these tools really made a huge difference and allowed their companies to continue working pretty much undisrupted by all of this. And yes, it's difficult for everyone, but I think these are just great tools that companies can look at to continue improving and operating the way they need to during these times.
Thank you, Sam. At this time, we're going to turn it over to Q&A. So if any of our attendees have questions, please feel free to submit it in the Q&A queue, and we'll go ahead and get to that question. We do have one. Oh, wait, I think it was answered, but one from Jay. Is there a backup solution you recommend for Office 365? And I think that was submitted maybe during Loren's presentation.
Yeah, sorry, I just kind of answered it because I just saw it. Adrian just kind of tuned me into the fact that there was one sitting there. I was too engrossed in everyone's discussion. But yeah, the answer was that I recommend Backupify by Datto. It's pretty It's reasonably priced, but it's only available through service providers like iTechUI. If you're looking for something that you want to buy direct from the manufacturer, just do a real quick Google. And I did it myself. I've seen solutions from Barracuda and Veeam. I've never used any of those, so I can't really recommend them because I haven't used them. But yeah, the one that I would recommend is Backupify. But again, it's only available through service providers. It's really easy. Once you set it up, it just starts backing it up, and you don't really have to worry about it. And it is cloud-based, and HIPAA and NIST 800, 171, and all the other good security jargon stuff. Appliances, yeah.
Thank you, Loren. Our first question, or second question, is for Adrian. How are businesses connecting with customers today in this new way of doing business?
Thank you. We had touched a little bit on it, and a lot of it is you notice it's changing. People were relying on email so much before, but now people are learning to pick up the phone again. I thought that was kind of a lost art for a while there, that people just kind of message people and kind of left it alone. But you can still continue with what you're doing in the format of messaging, but a lot of it has transformed. Like Stanley was saying, is Teams. A lot of people will use a format or a platform like Teams to have messages and conversations, because you're working away, you'll send an email, and that email could take however long it takes to cycle and go through the cloud and then land on that person's desk, their desktop. Within Teams, internal or external, you can turn on external for members outside of your company and have a direct path to them. And you can carry on a chat conversation real quickly, and you can alert them to how important it is based off of the sense of urgency of the message. Like, a lot of people don't realize, within Teams, there's a standard messaging setup. There's an urgent, which is just an explanation point. And then there's a critical or real urgent, where it will keep pinging the person's desktop for 20 minutes until they answer it or see it. And then there's a backup follow-up where there's an email sent to the person's desktop, so that they will get it as urgently as possible. But nothing beats picking up the phone and calling. Now, using Teams to make that call actually is a little more, to me, a little more direct, because one, when you're getting a call or a video call chat request through Teams, you know who it is. You see their graphic information. You know it's vetted already, meaning that they're in your organization, or it's somebody that you have granted to be into your organization. And it's not just a phone number that's showing up on your cell phone. That is that Adrian, or is that someone trying to sell me car insurance, or is it the fake IRS guy trying to get a hold of me, or things like that. You know that the message via Teams is clean, that the person is truly who they are, and it's probably business related. So using these formats, whatever program you're using to communicate, tends to be a little more important to the individual and the end user. However, like I say again, picking up the phone and getting your message across the first time is very, very important. Teams is another way of doing it. There's Zoom has its own format to a degree. But using these native client apps on your phone, not everybody has the same platform. There's iOS, there's Android, and there's Google, if I remember right, has its own platforms. Not everybody is in the same method. Plus, you don't know how secure some of these third-party apps that you're using are in the data retention and qualification. As Loren and Stan have pointed out, Microsoft's system is HIPAA compliant. It meets a lot of the security requirements. Your chat and your thread of conversations are secured, and you can pull them up for reference. You can export a lot of information into a document if you need to. So keeping all of these things helps your business retention as well. We all know that we need to keep, small businesses need to keep generally a 10-year tax record or receipt records or things like that. But can you imagine your conversational records if they're subpoenaed? Do you have the right information that will protect your business from a potential issue? Making sure that the platforms you're on have that. That will enhance your security, enhance your business, and enhance the user experience going forward. So we can demonstrate a lot of these things that have changed, It's just a matter of what you want to do, where you want to be, and how easy you want to make the transition for yourself. A lot of people are fearful of the change, but really the change is only in the mind. It's only a concept. It's the roadblocker that can be easily pulled out of the way. And we can show businesses, the group here can show how to make your next step as easy and quickly as possible so that you're able to get going on your internal as well as your external chats. Don't forget the people outside of your organization. How do you invite them in but secure the information that it's only between you and them and that they don't have access to your full network? There's ways to do that, and by bringing them into the fold into your business through a chat or a secure communication platform, that business and you will prosper hand in hand. That's what I've got for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Adrian, and thank you for sharing about the Microsoft Teams, the urgent ping. That is a wonderful tool. We'll have to start implementing that. With the events, we're always like, we need urgent message, respond. So that would be great to use. Next question is for Christine. What are you seeing with your customers? Is everyone moving to the cloud?
Yeah, so Adrian, you shouldn't have told me about that urgent thing. As a supervisor, my employees are not going to be happy with me. So our customers moving to the cloud. So we do a considerable amount of work for DoD, and so about 60% of our business is government. And I'm a big fan of cloud. I have been for a long time, but I really, as much as everybody's touting the cloud, I think like everything else, there's a pendulum swing. So when everybody went remote, it was great, but you can start to see that people are starting to not want to be 100% remote. They want to come back to the office. They want to have engagement. They want to see their fellow employees. And so I think similarly like the cloud, I think there's going to be a large majority of people that are going to move to the cloud, but I think there's just going to be some DoD facilities that are going to be like, absolutely not. We've even got some commercial customers who are extremely concerned about moving to the cloud because who owns it? Who's going to manage it? What happens if it gets breached? There's quite a bit of risk that comes with that. And so, again, I think it just boils down to your organization and how much potential risk you're willing to accept. Maybe those other people's computers are better than secure than yours are. Maybe they're not. So, again, I think it just really comes back to individually whether or not you're comfortable with storing all your information or having somebody else have access to your information. And I think that is really what it boils down to. And so as much as people like to tout the cloud and it's amazing and everybody's moving and no one's going to have a choice, I think at the end of the day, everyone's going to have a choice, and you just got to make that choice for you as an individual and for an organization.
Wonderful. Thanks, Christine. Our next question is for Stan. How have businesses and organizations you work with benefited from implementing some of these technology solutions?
Yeah, like I mentioned earlier, it's in a distributed work from home environment. There is the continuity is there. So I think for most of us who work from home, having someone, and you've seen stats, or we've seen stats where the productivity and the work-life balance has it's improved. And so for us personally, we've seen how staff are able to do more from home. They enjoy being at home. It gives them time and flexibility. But on the productivity end, it's actually increased for us. And it's partially through tools like this. There are other cloud software tools that can be installed and implemented. But ultimately, for us, the way we see it is for businesses, how can we help businesses implement the right technology tools so that they can operate more efficiently, more effectively? And so Teams we found is one of those where between, like Adrian said, calling, chatting, communicating, getting answers quickly, it enables that. And for other businesses, it's the same, where you have 40, 50 people, they're not in the same place. Having a tool like this really helps everyone be on the same page. You can make announcements, you can collect feedback quickly. And so it really enables that when everyone's not together.
Thank you, Stan. And next is for Loren. So which lesser known feature of Office 365 do you find the most useful?
You know, I think I'll go with Stream, Microsoft Stream. Has anyone ever used Microsoft Stream? It's actually it's like the internal YouTube of Office 365. So anytime you record your Teams meetings, it goes directly into Microsoft Stream and you can share that meeting with the rest of your team. We also use it a lot for employee onboarding. So we pre-can a lot of our onboarding training and we make a video and we refer our new employees to the Stream channel for onboarding. So it kind of takes them through a lot of stuff that really streamlines our onboarding process because I don't have to personally train everybody. They just watch the video. This is how you use our tools. This is how you talk to customers. These are how you do certain things. Even for our techs, you know, we do videos for each client site. This is how you administer this particular client. These are the little tweaks. It's all video based. So I don't have to walk my techs through every single thing anymore. I just tell them, oh, go watch this video. Or they can, you know, search it, they can comment. It's like your own internal YouTube, but it's secured through Microsoft Office 365. That's like probably the one lesser known feature of Office 365 that I take really good advantage of because it just helps me manage my employees and my training.
Wow, that is another cool one. I'm writing so many notes. I always learn so much at these FocusOn events. So thank you so much for that. Next question is for Deena. Is Salesforce used by small businesses or mostly large enterprises?
Salesforce actually started much more catering to small businesses. So they are absolutely used by small businesses. One of our customers, just as an example, we have large enterprises, I mentioned public sector organizations, but we have a lot of small businesses as our customers. And one example is a surf instruction company here in Hawaii. They have one Salesforce license and they have done so much. They have a lot of data and reporting. They're pulling in more data. They're looking at, how customers are, what products they're buying, what surf instruction, who's repeat customers. They're looking at ways to create nice customized messages to those that come, maybe an anniversary of a surf class or maybe a birthday. I mean, they're doing some really creative things by just one person who's leveraging that data and leveraging the power of the Salesforce platform. So I think what it really comes down to is not so much whether it's the size, it really is, actually, I think small businesses have a huge advantage that their decision-making is faster. They really know and understand their business much quicker. So they can move much more rapidly for that reason. So I think, small businesses have a huge advantage, but I think the main thing is just looking at where do you want to start, and then you can always start to grow from there, right? Regardless of how many licenses you have, if it's one like that example, or if it's 10 or 20 or more. So anyways, that's my answer.
Wonderful, thank you. Adrian, next question is for you. How do companies demonstrate to their customers in a COVID-19 environment when they cannot meet face-to-face? Demonstrate, yeah.
All right, so we talked a little bit about it earlier. There are many ways to host new virtual types of say a new product show like we used to have here in Hawaii, right? We would always go down to the Blaisdell Center or and then have these touch and feels and things like that. So with the environment that we're at now and the ability actually to touch more concise people, is that you could host a virtual type of an event like this one where you actually have conversations with people and people asking questions. However, after you get to a certain size, it becomes a little bit difficult because people forget to turn off their mics, people will start to do different things, and you don't want something inappropriate to happen on a video type of environment. Well, we talked about Microsoft Teams, the live event, where you can actually host an event. You can send out these links to people that register at your website. You can host up to 10,000 participants. And Nicole has done a lot of training in this environment with customers. We've trained people from all over the world in a Hawaii time zone. So they actually cannot speak to you at that moment while you're presenting in a Teams live environment. However, they can ask questions, and those questions can either be posted so that everyone sees them, or you choose to post a question after the individual has written to you with an answer. And you can control the environment. You do the presentation, you have your new products event. We call them traveling roadshows. So with those, we'll go on and we'll talk about the new Surface Laptop Go series, and we'll do the pictures. We'll run through the specs. If we happen to have a live demo model on hand, we could easily hold it up uh, in the screen. So you can have two types of screens. You can have a live video of myself or Nicole presenting the product and talking about it, and you can have a statistical data sheet type of a still environment for people to look at. You can then move from product to product, allowing people to see it. You get people to join. You have their information. So to join, you've captured their information. The best part about Teams, using a Microsoft Teams, whether it be the live event or a standard one, you can send the invite to the people after they've registered. They don't have to have Teams to join. They don't have to download anything. They join via a web link if they don't have it already. So there's nothing evasive being put on their computer, or perception of evasive, or I'm not, my computer's locked down, I'm not allowed to install anything. These ways of communicating with them create the user environment. So it's a one-shot portal to get into it. They can then view, and then they're done without being having to worry about, oh, did I log in? Do I have the program? To give an example, today uh, I changed machines over the weekend. I got an upgrade from my company, and I did everything except install Zoom. So when I tried to get on the call, I had to wait a few minutes while Zoom was installing. If I had an actual web invite, I wouldn't have had to worry. I would have just clicked on it. As long as I have internet access and my browser is functioning, I'm ready to go. So these are ways that you can communicate to your customers. You can have these virtual events, and you can run them on a regular basis so that people can join when it's convenient for them. You just got to find the time slots that work for you.
And
This
Adrian,
is the
we
new
did
way.
have, sorry, another
Go ahead.
question regarding
Please.
the Microsoft Surface Pro. I guess there's a new one. Would you mind sharing a little bit about it?
The Surface Pro, actually, I read about that one. We have not received any information. That actually is a leaked picture, or some information out of the mainland. So currently, I'm unfortunately not able to speculate on the new Surface Pro series. Although from what I've read, it sounds very interesting, and I'm kind of excited myself. I work off the Surface Pro series, so I'm on the current Surface Pro 7 series. So the device is really, really nice. It lends itself to someone who's on the go in the field a lot. But there are a couple of new ones that came out. The Surface Laptop Go, which is a 12-inch screen version of our Surface Laptop Pro series. So it's a little smaller. It has some characteristic and features. Its price point a little better. The Surface Pro X came out recently with an upgrade to a 64-bit processor style environment. So for those that are looking for the ultra thin, or looking for your executive type of device, that's the other one. And for those that are outfitting their offices, there is the Surface Hub series in an 85-inch design. Those are the three newest ones. And if you ever want to know more, reach out to myself and Nicole. We'll be glad to host a one-on-one session through Teams, whether it be personal or through a larger environment, and we can do a product demonstration for you through that. But see, this is a way that you can bring customers that are interested in you into your environment, host them, talk to them, and have that real personal conversation. In a trade show, you've got people passing, and you're trying to capture their interest within a Teams environment or any virtual hosted environment. You've actually got your audience. There was a rule of thumb that someone who walked into your store, 50% of the battle is over because they came to you. So it's a very similar event. If you host something on your website with types of information about a virtual trade show or a virtual product demonstration, once they sign up, you know that there's a strong interest, and you've gotten some of your CRM information there for your customer base. But I know it's a long about answer, but thank you.
Thank you, Adrian. You know, we actually just ran out of time for questions. We had a few more to get to, so I'm so sorry we weren't able to get to all the questions. If all of our speakers, if you wouldn't mind putting your contact information in the chat, so if any of our attendees do have questions regarding your presentations, your organizations, you know, your expertise, they can feel free to email you and get in contact with you directly. Thank you again for spending your morning with us, and thank you to all of our awesome guest speakers. I know I personally learned so much today. Thank you to Deena, Loren, Christine, Adrian, and Stan for sharing your knowledge and time with us and the business community this morning. We encourage everybody to follow the Chamber on Facebook and Instagram for the latest updates on COVID. And remember that our Chamber team is here to keep your business open and support you during these trying times. Mahalo again, and we look forward to seeing you on Zoom again soon. Aloha. Bye, everybody. Have a great week.
Bye. Bye.